Okay, so just real quick, we're going to start with recreating the automation that is set up on this board. You can see right here that we do already have that automation listed here, but I'm going to just walk you through it real quick. So you go into automation and rules, and then this is a due date automation, meaning that it's triggered on the moment that something becomes due. So we're going to go ahead and click due date and then create automation. Then we're going to add our trigger. So we're going to start with the moment a card is due. However, what we need to add into that to make sure that it's something that we've already scheduled wherever it's supposed to go, whether it's an email or a blog post or a social media post, something like that, we're going to go ahead and add in a filter. So we're going to add in the filter of with a specific label. And you'll notice the board came with these labels installed. So we're going to go ahead and check the scheduled, the light green scheduled. We're going to hit this little plus sign here, and then we're going to hit the blue plus sign. And so that's going to only trigger this when you have a due date on a card, when the due date becomes due, and if it has been marked as scheduled already. And then what we're going to have this do is it's going to start by marking the due date as complete. And then it's going to remove. So we're going to have it remove that light green scheduled label. And you can see we're removing the light lime scheduled label. And then we're going to add the darker green published label. You can see it has added that. And that's all we're going to do. There's more we could do to this if we wanted to, but we're not going to. We're just going to keep it simple. So we're going to go ahead and hit save. And now we've got our automation set up so that will act accordingly when you are working through your weeks and planning and scheduling. Okay. And then on that end, so this is intended to be used by quarter. You could technically use it for the entire year, but you will notice as you do that, I mean, these lists, I guess you have two ways you could do it. Honestly, there's no right or wrong way of doing this, right? So if you're going to create your new weeks and have them go to the right, then the longer that you use this board for, meaning a whole year versus just a quarter, you're going to be scrolling to the right a lot. But I guess you could create the lists and then make the newest list the first one. You could do that. And then honestly, you could use one board for the entire year if you want to, but I wouldn't go further than that because eventually your board's just going to get really, really full, right? But essentially, what you're going to want to do is you have the week one, and then from here, typically I would put what the dates are for that week. So if you were not starting this until like the middle of the year, like maybe you didn't get this right in January, then that's fine. But you want to decide whether you're going to use Monday as your first day of the week or Sunday as your first day of the week. And then you're just going to put the week range here. So let's just say, for example, this is not correct, but let's say we were doing January 1st through 7th. Okay. And then what you've got here is this first card is where you're setting your tone or your theme for the week or the topic, the high level topic, right? So, for example, in my own business, in the Tech Savvy Academy, I like to have a loose theme for the week. It doesn't mean that every single piece of content that I do that week is going to tie back to that theme, but I try to keep it somewhat relatable so that not only does that make a more consistent message for my audience, but it also for me just makes it so much easier when I go to create a piece of content because I already have a theme, a topic in mind. Okay. Keeps me from repeating myself too much. So I come up with the theme of the week when I am using this with my business partner in our podcast and our mastermind success through community. We use our theme for the week as whatever our podcast topic was of that week. And our podcast is based on business books. So our theme for the week will be a specific business book, which then kind of dictates what the overall topic is and also like who we would quote if we're going to quote. It's going to be the author of that book, right? So that's just two examples of how you might theme out your week just to make it a little bit easier and make the decision making for each piece of content much, much quicker. So then from here, you can reorganize this, right? If you want different days for your Instagram posts or your email newsletter goes out on a different day or whatever. I mean, this is obviously completely customizable and loose. And you can use it to reference whatever platforms you use. So if you don't use YouTube, then obviously don't have a YouTube one. Do an extra Instagram or Facebook or something like that. Also, for me personally, Instagram posts automatically push to my Facebook, so I don't indicate Facebook here separately. But if you have a Facebook group that you're working in, you might, separate that out and have one day be a Facebook group piece of content, something like that. So these are just some high level ideas, but once you have spent the time to really figure out what your strategy is going to be across these different platforms and these different formats, basically you're going to want to keep that as a clean list so that each week you can create a fresh list without having to empty out what you had done from the week before. So let me just show you what I mean. So let's say this was finalized. This is how I'm going to do it. We're going to go ahead and click right here. And actually, by the time you see this, I might have already made some changes because I'm getting some ideas while I'm explaining this to you. But you're going to go ahead and copy the list. And I'm actually going to call this template list and create the list and give it a second. It's going to do its thing. Okay. And now that list, you're going to want to always leave kind of on the left so that it's easy access, right? And then as you are planning out, however far in advance you plan, you're going to go ahead and do exactly what I had just done, right? From your template list, you're going to do copy list, and then it's going to create another one. You'll name that week 2, January 8th through 14th or whatever, okay? One thing I would recommend though, before you go creating a whole bunch of those lists already, is make sure that you've dialed in on any of your process checklists within your Trello cards. So like, for example, you can see here on my YouTube video that I have a checklist listed here with 9 steps, okay? This is my process when I am creating a YouTube video. And part of it is to have my description template. You're obviously going to want to update this because these are my links, not your links, and my about me and stuff like that. So you'll want to update that template for yourself. But additionally, I have my to-do list of all the steps that I need to make sure that I do before I can consider a YouTube video done, scheduled, and ready to go. Okay, so if you have processes like that for other types of content for your newsletter or whatever it might be, then you're going to want to go ahead and create those process checklists prior to finalizing your template list and make sure that it will be included every time you create a new week. So I hope that makes sense. I hope this really helps you out. Honestly, this board has been such a lifesaver to me already this year. I mean, it's not even that far into the year, but I don't even know how I did everything before without it. So I really hope that it does the same for you and helps you as you jump into multi-platform content and not just focusing on one primary platform.